Describing how the product works is almost never the problem. Describing what is the value proposition, that is often the problem. So when we think about quantify value proposition in discipline entrepreneurship, there's really kind of two common ways people think about value, right? So I have here two examples. I have example number one, my robot. And when you're doing equipment like that, when you're selling B2B into an enterprise situation, it's oftentimes really easy to quantify the value proposition. Usually you're either saving your client money or time or helping them make more money. Does that make sense? So it's a return on investment kind of play. So with the robot, basically the way we were able to express our quantified value proposition is, okay, there's this factory, it's called ARC Technologies that we actually visited. And this factory has trouble hiring people to do the jobs on the line. So they have a lot of work they were turning away, losing out on the margin. They could have kind of worked on those projects because they could not hire people to work on the line. Nobody wants that job. So if you hire this robot, right? You hire the robot, and here's the cost: is $20,000 or $30,000 all in, and it costs basically nothing to run it because it's just self-contained. It doesn't actually take a lot of maintenance. It's very cheap, and we calculate that within 4 months, it's going to pay for itself, relative to the money that they would have lost because they weren't able to kind of do more work. So when you put this robot in, the same personnel that's already working the lines can become a robot supervisor instead of actually doing the actual work. They get a better job, and the robot is going to make them more money, and 4 months later, you've paid for the robot. So that's kind of a typical return on investment sort of argument. Now, when you look at some other products, especially luxury products, so, a Prius, right? So in the olden days, people would buy a Prius, even though it's more expensive than an equivalent car with equivalent gas mileage, because they're buying into an emotional state, right? So it's an expression of their affinity to climate justice. That's how come, my friends actually bought a Prius, even though it was definitely, when they bought it, definitely much more expensive than like a Kia, which would have had probably, a really good gas mileage, and you really can't justify it from a cost standpoint, but they are buying it because it fits their self-image. So I think that when you think about how to express the value proposition to your customer, this is why a program starts with customer discovery. You need to understand what drives them, right? So in some cases, it's very transactional. I'm thinking about, I want to save money, I want to save time, I want to make more money, right? So that's an ROI way of kind of doing things. And then there's this other way where if you're selling like luxury goods, or if you're trying to appeal to someone's values, then that's a very emotional way of expressing the value proposition.